Maritime Workers raise concern on Stevedoring Services. Lucky escape for policemen escorting relief supplies. And final preparations for this weekend's Morobe Show.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
A very good evening to you and thanks for joining me with Wednesday's news. Well, Lae Maritime Workers are in serious discussions with the Morobe provincial government over the possibility of losing their stake in the Stevedoring Services of Lae Ports. It comes following the national government's move through Public Enterprise Minister Ben Micah to shift control of operations to foreign investors. A meeting was held between Labu and Ahi landowners who have over the years relied on the port's stevedoring businesses for employment services.
These workers gathered yesterday joined senior statesmen and former Morobe Premier Sir Jerry Nalau, former Makam MP Andrew Bying and Morobe Governor Kelly Naro to address the possibility of losing their jobs. After learning that the government will be shifting ownership of Lae's port stevedoring operations to other foreign investors, they now have taken action.
Government are trying to get somebody else from outside. They knew that we can do the job efficiently, but getting the foreigners company to come and do the job is like taking the job away from the local landowner, the Ais and Labu people.
Lae port industry has provided employment opportunities to more than 1,000 national workers over the years. The current situation has caused fear amongst these Lae port workers, threatened of losing their jobs when the ownership changes.
And with the current scenario in the government now, if that comes into being, that will really cause a disaster in this Ahi and of course the Labu.
The former Makam MP was part of the government that created a nationalization to enable Papua New Guineans to own a 51% share in this business.
Papua New Guineans right throughout the country who are now benefiting from this policy of 51-49. And I do hope that the Prime Minister and Ben Micah, Minister for State Enterprises, will understand and act in the very best interest of Papua New Guineans and to ensure that we control the economy.
This isn't the first time that the Lae port has come under the spotlight. Now, for the past 2 years, there have been ongoing debates when government tried to make changes to how landowner companies participated in the port's operations. Colin Barilai, National EMTV News, Lae.
About 10 police officers escaped death after their vehicle ran off the road in the Upper Mendi LFG area of Southern Islands Province. Shown in this amateur footage, this police officer explains the horrific accidents after the vehicle was travelling at high speeds. The vehicle ran off the road and smashed into a hillside and overturned before rolling over twice. No one inside was seriously injured. The police vehicle was rushing to provide escort support for the Mendimun District Disaster Coordinating Team to distribute relief supplies. The accident has not hindered the police, who play a crucial role in maintaining law and order while relief rations are distributed to people amidst attempts to hijack containers of food in some districts. Well, Minister for Higher Education and Member for Gazelle, Malakai Tabar, has apologised for what he says was a misrepresentation of his statement by the Australian media ABC. Mr. Tabar apologised to Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare and the National Alliance Party at a media conference today here in Port Moresby. The apology follows an interview Mr. Tabar gave an ABC reporter after a presentation at the Australian National University in Canberra last week.
Minister Tabar went to great lengths to explain the questions asked by the ABC reporter and his own respective answers. When responding to that reporter's question about the purported vote of no confidence, Mr. Tabar denied having said that Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare had been terminated or removed by the National Alliance Party. The MP went on to offer apologies to the Grand Chief and the National Alliance Party for the misrepresentation of his statement.
The person reading the news quoted me as saying, I told that media gathering that the party had actually removed Sir Michael from the National Alliance Party. That is not correct. I wouldn't say such a thing about Sir Michael. I have a lot of respect for him, and I would like to apologize to him for the misrepresentation by ABC.
Minister Tabar said he realized that he had been misrepresented by the ABC after watching the news in Canberra. He is now calling on the Australian Broadcasting Corporation to apologize to him and to the National Alliance Party for the misrepresentation of the discussions. Minister Tabar said he has great respect for the Grand Chief and there was no way he would have made those statements. Deli Waigeno, National MTV News.
Stay tuned. You're watching National MTV News tonight. We'll bring you more local stories. That's coming up after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back to National MTV News. At least 30 patients with cleft lips and palates will have undergone medical surgery under the Operation of Hope program in Port Moresby come Sunday. Our crew visited some of the patients undergoing surgery today.
The team of medical surgeons from the Operation of Hope arrived in the country last Sunday and have been performing surgeries with medical staff support from the health workers at the Pacific International Hospital. So far, the youngest patient operated on is a 9-month-old baby and the oldest a 9-year-old.
2 scrub nurses in the OT. And we have Dr. Luke here who helps with the pre-op and post-op care of the children. We have a nurse in the recovery area. Then PIH nurses also help take care of these children.
Cleft lip or cleft palates are birth defects which occur during the early weeks of pregnancy when a baby's lip or mouth does not form properly. In Papua New Guinea, an average 1 out of every 8 babies is born with this defect. According to the research conducted by Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, women who smoke during pregnancy or have diabetes are at a higher risk of giving birth to babies with a cleft lip.
And altogether, some of the kids, we did 2 surgical procedures. We were able to help the palate and the lip. So altogether, by the end of the week, it would be between 29, maybe 30 surgeries.
Last year, 39 patients were operated on. This year, over 82 patients were registered and 40 were shortlisted for this free medical correction. Because of the stigma and discrimination associated with cleft lip, Operation of Hope gives priorities to adults to undergo the operations.
Operation of Hope that comes here to do the cleft lip and palate is not just for little babies and little children, but also for teenagers and young adults.
These operations were made possible through financial support from various business houses in PNG. Takla Gunga, National MTV News.
Well, family and friends of late Jeremiah Uni today paid their last respects in a funeral service. Jeremiah was described as a bright young man with a bright future ahead of him. However, he died while in a coma at the Port Moresby General Hospital recently. He was alleged to have been bashed up by Papua New Guinea Defence Force soldiers. The 6 soldiers implicated in the beating were arrested yesterday and charged with murder. Jeremiah will be laid to rest at 9 Mile Cemetery in Port Moresby. Well, Chief Justice Sir Salamo Injia presented the 2014 annual court report today to Acting Governor-General Theo Zurinuo at the Government's House. Sir Salamo announced that the report is different from past reports. It contains the performances of the courts and how they are planning to build capacity throughout the country.
The 2014 annual court report contains important court documents that will be disclosed after it is tabled in Parliament. Sir Salamo Injia briefly told the media, apart from previous court reports, this report is different as it contains court performances, capacity building and information on cases decided by the courts.
In terms of building up the number of judges, increasing the number of judges, and posting those judges to the provinces to improve service delivery throughout Papua New Guinea. And also we have included some information on some of the cases decided by the courts in which the judges have recommended.
Sir Salamo said the courts need more judges in terms of capacity building. So far, 5 new acting judges were appointed this year, bringing the total of acting judges to 39, including 33 full-time judges. However, the total number is not enough to adequately cover the country, as it requires about 60 to 80 judges. Sir Salamo is adamant that by 2017, there will be resident judges in all provinces except for Gulf, Central and Jiwaka provinces.
Because of the low volume of cases in those provinces, that's Central, Gulf and Jiwaka, they will be catered for from this regional.
Meanwhile, Sir Salamo said there are a number of tribunal cases pending. All these are contained in the 2014 annual report. Basinata Yama, National EMTV News.
Well, Bank of Papua New Guinea Governor Lae Maritime says basic knowledge on financial options, products and services are lacking in the informal sector in PNG. Bakani says people in this sector are vulnerable to economic shocks and may be unable to take on business risks, new business risks, this is. His comments follow the high rates of financial literacy in the country.
Financial literacy has become the most discussed topic in the microfinance industry of many countries in the world. In Papua New Guinea, the central bank has been carrying out financial education training through its Center for Excellence in Financial Inclusion in a national drive to decrease financial illiteracy. Since 2013, CEFI has conducted training on basic financial knowledge in the Highlands region, targeting the local businessmen and women in the informal sector.
As the financial inclusion agenda has risen to prominence in recent times, and microfinance institutions are one of the vehicles used to bring financial services to this segment of the population, the importance of financial consumer protection has grown.
In 2008, microfinance leaders from around the world put together a guide that later became the Client Protection Principle that allows clients to be treated with fairness. Today, BPNG launched the Smart Campaign Training Program, in addition to the financial training for the facilitators who will be teaching basic savings and banking skills to local communities. The training is desired to equip the trainers and broaden their understanding on the 7 principles under the Client Protection Principle.
Participants, these are the principles that will be imparted to you in depth over the next 3 days. They are sound principles, globally accepted and locally relevant for the microfinance sector in Papua New Guinea.
BPNG has teamed up with the Asian Development Bank and other partners in trying to educate people from other regions on basic financial knowledge. Taklagunga, National EMTV News.
And now let's take a look at the finance news. The Kina closed 10 points lower at $0.3445 in the interbank market, and at Bank South Pacific, our Kina was trading at $0.3370 $0.4604 Australian dollars, $0.2934 euro, and 40.04 Japanese yen. Taking a look at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee, cocoa and copra all closed the day higher. Palm oil and copper closed lower, while crude oil closed the day higher. And finally, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 13 points lower, the ASX closed at 54 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed at 57 points higher. Among stories coming up after this break, preparations for this weekend's Morobe Show. Stay with us for that story and more. Welcome back to the news. Final preparations are being made for the Morobe Show this Saturday and Sunday. The annual event is expected to draw thousands from all over the country. EMTV Scott White was at the Lae Show grounds where construction is happening.
Every October, the Morobe Show becomes one of the biggest revenue earners for Lae City. Now, these roads are currently void of pedestrian traffic, but in 2 days' time, more than 100,000 people will converge on these grounds, making vehicle traffic next to impossible. Preparations for the show began early this month, and 2 weeks ago the first signs of the stalls appeared outside of the grounds. It should be noted that it is that time of the year when PNG-owned SMEs double, even triple their earnings. Key players in the show are manufacturers and businesses that are based in Lae. Biscuit makers, meat suppliers, mining and industrial companies will all be out here in full force. With 2 days to go, preparations are in full swing, with each marketing team looking at a tight deadline. What's also interesting is the amount of food and drink that will be consumed in this location on Saturday and Sunday. Now, unfortunately, we can't put an exact figure on it, but just to give you an idea of what it will be like, last year it took almost a week to remove all the coconuts that had been consumed because of the sheer volume of nuts left in piles. Also, the number of Coca-Cola beverages that will have been consumed in Lae City on Saturday and Sunday will be much more than what Lae City drank last month. Now, if you've been to the Morobe Show, you will know that behind me is where much of the action happens. It's where sing-sing groups from all over the country come to perform. Now, people come from all over the country, including the far-flung regions of the Hela, the Western Province and Gulf. Scott Waide, National EMTV News, Lae.
Well, Lae Biscuit Company Limited is dedicated to its social obligations while it continues to look at areas to expand its markets. The company is looking forward to expanding into neighbouring Pacific countries as soon as next year. Its famous biscuit brand, Snacks, is likely to hit the sell in the Solomon Islands and Vanuatu.
Lae Biscuit Company, the manufacturer of the famous Snacks biscuit brand, is expanding its markets into the Pacific. Solomon Islands and Vanuatu have shown interest in the Snacks products. Sales Area Manager, Southern Region, Andrew Bayak, says the company will expand its products to other Pacific countries in the near future.
So hopefully next year and the years coming after that, we should export our product overseas, but we've had interest from Solomon Islands, Vanuatu, Fiji. There've been people approaching us. They like the taste of the product.
The expansion of its products comes after the successful staging of the Melanesian Spearhead Group meeting in Port Moresby. Though trading with West Papua in Indonesia is slow, it is believed that everyday border crossers introduce Snacks products to traders at the popular Batas market.
We have a lot of, one-talks, people coming. The taste is already very popular over there.
Today, the company announced 10,000 kinas worth of biscuits and merchandise, with 5,000 kina to the Motu Koitabu Assembly for the staging of the mini Iri Moale Festival later this year.
There's another date that has to be set by the Assembly.
To be announced.
Yet to be announced.
PNG-made products are of the best quality. However, the markets in other countries are very slim. But opportunities are created, like the MSG, where Pacific member countries meet and share ideas. Quinten Alomp, National EMTV News.
The key witness to the killing of Iranian asylum seeker Reza Barati at the Manus Detention Center last year says he is not safe and experiences constant intimidation. Witness Benam Sattar told the National Court that he'd been threatened since giving a statement about seeing Barati killed in a riot. Joshua Kaluvia, who worked with the Salvation Army, and Louis Effie, understood to be employed with G4S, are both charged with willful murder over Barati's death. Both have pleaded not guilty to the charges. Sattar, who is also an Iranian asylum seeker himself, told the court that he needed protection if he was to testify against Kaluvia and Effie. But lawyer representing Sattar, Ben Lomai, told EMTV News yesterday a formal protection order from the public prosecutor is yet to be given. The case has been adjourned to next month, while Sattar fears for his life.
I testify against two locals in their own country, in their own island. These locals, with others who were supposed to protect us, murdered my roommate in cold blood. One of the locals who was involved in Reza Barati's murder. They sent them deliberately to frighten me and force me to go back. I am in Foxtrot compound in M block, which there is no camera in here, and every day many local come and sit in the back of my room for 3 or 4 hours a day. They want to agitate me and force me to go back to my country. And they said it many times to me, it's better for you to go back to your country. I don't feel safe here because security already killed my best friend, and they proved that they can't provide safety for anyone in here. And they are trying to agitate me every day by exposing me to locals.
Well, in South Africa, convicted Olympian blade runner Oscar Pistorius was released on parole this week, just short of a year into his 5-year sentence for killing his girlfriend Reva Steenkamp. He will serve the rest of his sentence under house arrest. But Pistorius will still have to face an appeal by prosecutors who argue that he should have been convicted of murder rather than culpable homicide. Pistorius was released from a South African prison on Monday and is staying at his uncle's house. He was found guilty of culpable homicide when he fired 4 shots through a locked bathroom door and shot Steenkamp on Valentine's Day of 2013. From the genesis of his trial, Pistorius has vigorously maintained that he mistook Steenkamp for an intruder. The condition of his house arrest has Pistorius confined to his uncle's home in a wealthy suburb of Pretoria.
Mampuru, the second correctional center, local management has informed us that they placed Oscar Pistorius under correctional supervision. They took him out of the facility to his uncle's house.
A spokeswoman representing Pistorius' family stressed that his sentence has not been reduced or shortened.
It's very important for the family to emphasize that Oscar's sentence hasn't been shortened or reduced. He's simply entering the next phase of his sentence now. He will serve this under the strict conditions that govern correctional supervision. The family will support Oscar as he serves out the remainder of the 5-year sentence handed down by the trial judge, and he will strictly adhere to the conditions set by the parole board and community corrections.
Culpable homicide, the offence which Pistorius was found guilty of, bears a lesser sentence compared to the sentence of murder. Culpable homicide is an entity of certain offences in various jurisdictions of the Commonwealth of Nations, which involves the killing of a person either with or without an intention to kill. And that depends entirely on how a particular jurisdiction has defined the offence. Prosecutors argue the verdict should be one of murder because Pistorius must have known that the person behind the door could be killed. The appeal is due to be heard on November 3rd. A murder conviction would result in a minimum sentence of 15 years in prison. Back home, Bank South Pacific today introduced Samantha Vulum as Miss BSP in the 2015 Miss Pacific Islands pageant PNG. BSP Group General Manager, Retail Banking, Paul Thornton, said the bank was proud to be associated with a pageant that develops and showcases young women's intellectual strengths and cultural values.
At a media conference in Port Moresby today, Mr. Thornton formally announced 23-year-old Samantha Vulum as Miss BSP. From a mixed parentage of West New Britain and Central Provinces, Samantha is employed by her sponsor BSP as an administration officer. She has a diploma in human resource management and aspires to build her qualification and progress her career.
My motivation to take part in this pageant was the cause behind it. It is all about empowering young women to further their education.
Over the last 4 years, the Miss Pacific Islands pageant PNG has raised over 400,000 kina for its scholarship fund. Over 100 young women from around the country have benefited, completing their education thanks to this scholarship fund. Ms. Vulum said she is happy to be part of a bank that is making a difference not only in business but in communities nationwide, making a meaningful and lasting difference in PNG. The crowning of the pageant will be held on November 14. The winner will represent PNG at the Miss Pacific Islands pageant in Rarotonga, Cook Islands in December. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
Well, National EMTV News continues with True Guy Sports. That's coming up after this break. Stay with us.
True Guy Sports.
Thanks for joining me with True Guy Sports. Football great David Beckham was appointed a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador with a special focus on UNICEF's Sports for Development program. To mark his 10th anniversary working with UNICEF, Beckham hopes to compete in 7 games across 7 continents over 7 days. Beckham is expected to appear in Uganda and Papua New Guinea, although his actual visit is yet to be confirmed.
Admired around the world for his skillful and powerful kicks on field, David Beckham is arguably one of the world's best footballers that has ever lived.
Beckham scores the goal to take England all the way to the World Cup finals.
Apart from the glamour of being a football superstar, the retired soccer player has been working with UNICEF as a Goodwill Ambassador. The former England captain announced earlier this year that he will lead a Great Britain 11 team to play the rest of the world team led by former France captain Zinedine Zidane to raise funds for charity. But that isn't the end of his charitable plans. This year marks his 10th anniversary as UNICEF's Goodwill Ambassador, and Beckham hopes to embark on a remarkable world tour to benefit UNICEF. The football star also launched his own fund for charity earlier this year, naming it 7. UNICEF's Goodwill Ambassador David Beckham plans to play 7 matches across 7 continents, where he is expected to make appearances in Uganda and right here in Papua New Guinea. Dion Kombeng, National EMTV Sports.
Well, following the successful hosting of the 2015 National Provincial Sevens Championships earlier this month, Port Moresby will host the Amayu Sevens Tournament this weekend at Bava Park within the Bissini grounds. This tournament will see a more proactive approach by the Capital Rugby Union in ensuring there is consistency with the flow of competitions. Tournament Director Paul Joseph has confirmed 26 teams for this weekend's rugby festivities.
Rugby Sevens has been on the rise in Papua New Guinea after the Pukpuks and Palais display in the Pacific Games, and most recently with the successful rollout of the 2015 National Provincial Championships. The Capital Rugby Union, headed by recently appointed President Jacob Unger and Tournament Director Paul Joseph, have managed to maintain the flow of sevens with the CRU Sevens competition. It is understood that the code has struggled with financial support over the years in running a fully fledged competition, but this year seems different. With the support of the government through the Sports Ministry, the Amayu Sevens is expected to bring back some form of consistency, as the Capital Rugby Union is adamant on growing the code. The tournament this weekend will see teams from the Central Province and the autonomous region of Bougainville. Champions of the Armako Sevens Baike Brothers will represent Central Province, while Hakatau Tai will have players originated from the autonomous region of Bougainville. And in their efforts to maintain the momentum with women's rugby, teams who made an appearance at the NPC Sevens are expected to feature in this weekend's tournament. Lorraine Genia, National EMTV Sports.
Well, still in rugby, and it's been 20 years in the making in one of rugby's greatest rivalries between the All Blacks and the Springboks. It will be the top of the table clash for these two sides when they lock horns in this Sunday's World Cup semi-final showdown. EMTV Shane Soroya has this report.
Twickenham will host another historical match that includes the 1995 World Cup final, 2003 quarter-final and third and fourth playoffs in 1999. South Africa holds the 2-1 advantage over the All Blacks, who claimed the quarter-final 29-9 win in Melbourne. And from New Zealand's perspective, the Springboks could be the pinnacle challenge in Sydney's clash.
What a move! You know, pretty forward-orientated in how they approach things, and their drive's a key weapon for them. Their they're big men in the line-out. So, you know, initially I think you got to be disciplined, so you don't give them penalties, don't give them a chance to kick out to the corner. Other than that, get up and win the ball.
The All Blacks' biggest matchup would be the physicality the Springboks forwards back up front and the line crows. Another interesting prospect in Sunday's clash is All Blacks' Julian Savea, who has been a standout player, having been compared to All Blacks great John Olomu after his quarter-final hat-trick against France.
They've probably tweaked a number of things, I think, since the Rugby Championship, and I don't want to say too much about that, but they've obviously adopted a style that they think is the style they need.
Springboks winger JP Peterson says Julian Savea is no John Olomu, but his All Blacks opposite still represents a tough challenge in Sydney's World Cup semi-final. Savea has won 4 of his 5 outings against the Springboks, but is yet to score a try against them. Shane Saroya, National, EMTV Sports.
Back home, a total of 195 boxers and officials have submitted their names to the Boxing Union to take part in this year's National Boxing Championships in Kavieng. The tournament is to be held from the 18th to the 22nd of November, with a good number of boxers expected to attend.
A total of 21 boxing associations from around the country have all submitted their names, but it is not yet confirmed how many boxers and officials will be taking part. The Boxing Union has set a deadline for all associations to meet before the tournament.
The deadline of 9th of November for them to reconfirm their numbers traveling, the team traveling to Kavieng. As it is now, that's the number we're working with, and because of the logistical requirement, the host organizing committee must know the numbers, and we are working with the numbers for the moment.
Tournament Director Dick Larry also made it clear for all boxers to be medically certified before the tournament.
Make sure that their boxers are medically, they have to do their medicals first before they come to for this national championship. So medicals must be done in their own provinces, and they have to be satisfied to attend this tournament.
During the tournament, the annual general meeting will be held as well to appoint new executives for the next 3 years. John Avira urged all unaffiliated clubs to pay their affiliation fees to be given the right to vote.
Executives have already expired, so we need to go back to the associations to elect the new office bearers for the next 3 years. If you are not affiliated to PNG Boxing Union, you will not have the right to vote. Only the affiliates will come to this AGM, and then they will have the right to vote for the new executives.
Kavieng Open member Ben Micah has jumped on board to help sponsor the event. Elijah Levet, National, EMTV Sports.
Well, True Kai Sports continues with snooker and swimming. That's coming up next. Stay with us.
True Kai Sports.
Good to have you back with True Kai Sports. A lot more time and investment is needed by our snooker players in order to perform to their best against international opponents. These were the sentiments expressed by PNG Women in Snooker representative Bobby McCarthy during a news conference celebrating the return of 3 snooker players to the ISBF Australian Women's Ranking Tournament.
The 3 returning players were Helen Samuel, Madeline Kaina, and 10-time PNG Women's Champion Gewa John. The performances acknowledged by PNG Billiards and Snooker Association Vice President John Chan.
This event was a IBSF ranking event, therefore our players that exceeded to the knockout rounds will be given some ranking points, and later on we'll know where they stand against other women in the event that took part.
Bobby McCarthy, who took the team down as manageress, believes that the performances shown by the women will raise the profile of women in snooker in the country and also women in sport in general.
It's basically we just learn from each other, all the snooker players here. But what the ladies have they definitely have learned a lot. They've learned a few, cute tricks, ball tricks, which we have not seen here.
Gewa John, PNG's top snooker player, ended the tournament with a top 16 ranking. Prior to the event, she had highlighted the quality of other players in the local competition. Currently, there are no immediate international tournaments to attend to for the team. However, there are plans for the sport to be included in other major tournaments, such as the PNG and Pacific Games. Jeremy Moggy, National, EMTV Sports.
Well, today saw the first ever PNG Swimming Coaching Clinic facilitated by the PNG Swimming Association and featuring an Australian swimming coach upskilling up to 25 local swimming coaches from around the country. President of the New South Wales Coaching Association, John Bladen, led practical swimming sessions with help from PNG Swimming President Elizabeth Wells. MTV's Rafaela Kaure reports.
25 coaches and managers attended the swimming coaching clinic under the FINE rule. The coaching clinic was led by John Bladen. He said imparting the training skills and techniques of swimming was to improve and educate the coaches to teach junior swimmers how to become good elite athletes.
Coaches go away motivated with some good knowledge, some good experiences, and to go away and to improve their programs both here and in other centres.
He also mentioned that with the new swimming facilities, PNG is able to produce great swimmers. Swimming President Elizabeth Wells said today's coaching clinic was to get the coaches and managers to fully understand the basic techniques of swimming as well as learning other important skills in order to properly carry out their swimming lessons as coaches.
To teaching young children up to the age of 12 stroke technique, because technique's very important in their swimming. If they don't have it, they won't become an elite swimmer. And through that, we then hope to develop a very good, strong base of elite swimmers. But to do that, you need a strong foundation.
She also touched on the development of swimming in the country and what PNG Swimming is doing to engage all provinces into affiliating with their swimming programs. Rafaela Kaure, National EMTV Sports.
And that's how we wrap up True Guy Sports tonight, but stay tuned. We have the weather details for the next 24 hours coming up after these messages.
True Guy Sports. True Guy Sports.
Now let's take a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. In southern region, Port Moresby and Kerema, mostly fine, dry weather. In Popondetta and Alotau, mostly fine weather, fine and dry in Daru. In Momase, Old Centres, relatively fine weather. In the New Guinea Islands, fine and dry weather expected in Old Centres. And in the Islands regional centres, also mostly fine and dry weather. And now let's take a look at forecasts for small ships, waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait, Daru to Kiwai Island, with waters of Finschhafen through Vitia Strait to Long Island, including Siasi Islands, Dampier Strait, with waters of Madang to Bogia to Wewak, including all the islands and waters of Aitape to Vanimor, and the northern PNG Indonesian border with waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas of 1.5 to 2 meters, waters of Kiwai Island to Kerema, to Yule Island to Hood Point, to Summer Island, Cape Bogle to Finschhafen, with waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, seas of 0.5 to 1.3 meters, and lastly waters of New Island to New Britain to Bougainville, seas of 0.5 to 1.5 meters. And now let's take a look at ocean forecasts for PNG areas, Coral Sea, Solomon Seas and Pacific Ocean. sees slight to moderate with southeast winds at 10 to 50 knots, and Bismarck Sea sees moderate with southeast winds at 15 to 20 knots with gusts. Well, that has been the news, sports and weather this Wednesday, the 21st of October 2015. On behalf of the news crew, I'm Tokana Asavi Jr. You take care and stay happy. Good night.